Yes, mates. Yes, mates. What's going on, everybody? Sick Boys Podcast
Sick
back at you.
boys.
This is one of my favorite episodes to do. A playoff round prediction podcast. We
Wow.
got
Getting really PPP in there.
a lot of PP going around. We got the NHL semis and we have the NBA finals. The NBA finals is the exact matchup that I had hoped for. And the NHL, I couldn't be more fired up about the matchups we got going over there. Game one was last night of the Avs and the Oils. Pretty much could have been expected that it was an absolute shootout. Almost tied the record, not the record, almost tied the number that the Oils and the Flames put up in game one of that series. And then we got the Rangers tonight. Yes, please.
We got the Lightning tonight. So
No, we have the Rangers tonight. Whatever floats your fucking boat, dude. I don't know how you're going against the Rags. No, I don't know how you're going against the Rags.
because I'm not a Rangers fan.
You're not a Lightning fan either.
But
boom, roasted.
But you said you don't know how I'm not rooting for one team. I can pick who I root for, but I don't have to root for one of them. I'm a Bruins fan.
Whatever, bro.
Just say you're wrong and I'm right, and everything's gonna be
No, it's not that definitive.
Okay.
All right, are we starting with the NHL? You want to start with the NBA?
No, we always start with the NBA. Let's go.
All right. So, what I like to do is look at the recent history of the games played between these teams, because I mean it's literally like doing a study with the most recent. I don't fucking know what I'm saying. I don't know how
What
to word
is
that.
it though?
Okay, that's exactly my point. Is that the Warriors and the Celtics only played 2 games against each other this year. The first game was in December, when the Warriors were by far the best team in, well, not technically by far. They were 1 game above the second team in the NBA record-wise at 24-5 after this win against the Celtics. Curry and Wiggins both had stellar nights, especially from outside the arc. But the Warriors didn't have Klay Thompson or Jordan Poole. Poole was COVID. Klay wasn't back yet. Boston didn't have Horford on the floor, Grant Williams on the floor. They didn't have Derek White on their roster yet. And Josh Richardson, who has been a floater on NBA rosters for years, played 35 minutes for them and had 15 points. The big three for Boston all played pretty well, but this game, just based off who played, already cannot be like valued and assessed when looking at the NBA Finals matchup. But with that being said, this was the game, like the next game after Curry became the all-time threes leader. So Jack, I don't know if you remember that. I was away at this time, but
no, we talked about it, and yeah, I definitely remember that.
They
had Reggie Miller and Ray Allen at the game.
Oh, dude, it was fucking lit. But those games leading up, Curry was ice cold from 3. And coming off of last year, how hot he was. Do you remember how hot he was, dude? Where I was putting in
player
parlays
props every game
for Curry's over-unders every game, were like Luka's in the playoffs this year, where his over-under was 33.5 base. And I was putting over 37.5 and to hit 5+ threes every single game. And I won, like, I think I did it 8 times. I think I won 6. But that was at the end of last year. 2 of those games were in Boston. He had 38 in one of them, and he had 47 in the other against Boston last year. So Curry definitely has had success against Boston. He had 30 points in this game in 5 threes. But Another thing is Golden State was up 20 points in the second quarter, and Boston made a late run. This is indicative of Boston's ability to come back, especially with defense. They're up 20 points in the second quarter. Boston cuts it down to 10 right before the half. But then Curry shoots a half-court shot and gets fouled by Marcus Smart. Makes all threes. Udoka doesn't like the call, gets teed up. Curry makes another three. So that's 4 points with 0.1 seconds left from half court, pretty much. Game was decided by 4 points. So I think that's a little spicy right there. But also this was Kerr's 400th career win out of 576 total. Unfucking believable.
Wait, that win this season?
Yeah, December 17th. It was the very beginning of the season.
That doesn't make any sense.
What?
How does he have
400 wins? This is 8th season.
No, you're saying out of 500 something.
400 wins out of 576 games played.
Oh, games. I thought you said 400th win out of he has 500 something now. It's like that makes no sense.
Oh, no. That's why I'm saying like unbelievable winning percentage. It's probably around 70%.
And they won 15 games 2 years ago.
What an amazing point. I'm so happy you just said that. So pretty much that game, no Clay, no Poole. Boston wasn't able to see what Golden State had to offer, even though they were playing at a very high level at that point. And on the other end, Golden State wasn't able to see, significant role players that Boston has now, like Horford, Williams, and Derek White. And then the second game of the season was March 16th. So at this point, January was when Boston made their turnaround. At this point, this is when you and me are shitting on the Warriors every night. Like they're just completely blowing it. They're like, they went from 24-5 to winning under 50 games on the year.
You're gonna hate this comparison, but it was like the Jazz at the end of the year. It's like, what is this? What is happening right now?
I like that comparison. I like it.
Like you're supposed to have a good deep-ish roster with some solid players that you built the team around, and you're just not playing at all like any of the players have played recently.
I mean, little did we know that the Warriors were actually primed and ready to go for the playoffs. I mean, they fucking destroyed Denver. But we didn't. Steph wasn't back until the playoffs, so I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't really take into consideration.
By the way, the ESPN always does montages for. They were talking about the road to the finals for each of the teams, and guess what play they highlighted as like the play of the Denver series?
What?
Draymond steal with 5 fouls against Jokic. I figured you would love that. Yeah.
That was unbelievable, dude. I remember getting 5. We were podcasting at that point, right?
You definitely mentioned it that podcast.
I was fired up about that play. Like, talk about a leader, not afraid of anything. But the second game was actually the game that Curry injured his left foot. So 2 very significant and much different times in a season. Just goes to show like how one season can have so many ups and downs, and you're a completely different team game 1 of the season as you are if you end up in the finals. So Marcus Smart actually dove into Curry's leg, diving for a ball out of bounds, hurt his foot. Kerr got into it with Smart. And then later in the game, he way over jumped one of Clay's jumpers, and he landed on Clay's shooting arm. So that was definitely sketchy. But Golden State only shot 29% from the field that game. Clay going 1 of 11 from 3. It was only at this point. So Draymond was coming off a back injury. So there's no Curry the second half. Draymond is unlimited minutes. Not that he's a factor on offense like that anyway. Poole started off the game 1 of 11. and Clay ended up shooting 1 of 11 from 3. So it was just Poole and Clay. And dude, you and I have noticed those two don't exactly play that well together. It's a lot of like, all right, your turn, my turn type ball.
Also, Jordan Poole, even on First Take, where honestly, at this point, basketball, I'm still very new, still very raw to all of it. And when I listen to First Take, like Stephen A is like gospel to me. Like he is so knowledgeable and he has a lot of knowledgeable guests on that he debates with. And when he keeps mentioning Poole as the third Splash Brother, it's like what I'm seeing watching the Warriors, especially the past 2 rounds. Poole was huge in the Nuggets series, faded
Yeah.
off a little bit in the Jazz in the
Big time.
Memphis series. He was almost non-existent in the Western Conference Final, in my opinion, dude. Stephen A brought up he's a threat from outside the arc, dude. I see him as like a athletic guard that drives to the hoop or pulls up for twos. I don't really see him as a 3-point guy at
Dude,
all.
I think that so there's like two different types of players. Like I think that Poole in the Western Conference Finals wasn't non-existent. I think that just a lot of his baskets were not memorable. Like they're like it's not like he's hitting these really clutch shots. I mean, he did have a couple dagger threes. I don't know what the scores were, but I remember him doing that. And then I remember just being like, wow, dude, that was a really nice move. I wish he did that more often. But
Definitely a poor choice of words saying he was non-existent, but he definitely wasn't
like
as
15.
noticeable round after round. And I mean, I saw he dropped like 20 a couple games, but definitely not as noticeable. So that's what I'll go with.
Dude, I think that Poole at this point, I mean, dude, next year and the year after that, assuming that he re-signs, I think that he will become an actual third Splash Brother. But right now, I see him more of just like a plus, Like you have this, that, and the third going on between Curry, Clay when he's on, and Wiggins, and Poole is kind of just like a plus. And the fact that he comes off the bench to kind of like balance the scoring is a plus on its own. But dude, something that worries me about this series, Boston has won 6 out of the last 7 games of Golden State. Granted, that is over a couple of years, considering they only play twice a year, sometimes 3. But dude, the rosters, the core players on these teams haven't changed. It's been Tatum, Brown, and Smart, and it's been Clay, Draymond, and Steph. And I understand the Warriors haven't been that great the past couple of years, but still, dude, them winning in Golden State and considering their road record throughout these playoffs definitely concerns me, especially for game 1, dude. The Celtics are coming off a game 7, and the Warriors. Who did the Warriors just play? Oh, the Mavs. The Warriors 1-5. So the Celtics are definitely going to come off a little bit more like, fresh in terms of the last time that they played. The Warriors haven't played in like a week and a half. The last thing I wanted to say about the second game of the season was that there was no Wiggins, and that Curry got hurt. Draymond was limited off the bench, and so like it just wasn't the Warriors that we have seen in these playoffs whatsoever. So I just see, and they didn't shoot well at all. Dude, none of the bench guys had more than 7 points. I don't know, dude. Neither of these games give me any indication that I can go off of this information. So
I was gonna say that. It's a little rare that you can say that, but these 2 games really don't reflect at all what these teams are at this point in the season compared to when they were matched up earlier in the season.
yeah, dude, 100%. But dude, it has to be. I just want to say it has to be tough being a coach or coaching staff and having to watch pretty much strictly like these teams play against other teams and not your own. Like, especially because the finals you're going against a team from the opposite conference. Like some teams, when you're playing the playoffs in your own conference, you've played maybe 4 or 5 times in a season. So, like I remember Toronto and Philly played a bunch of times in the regular season. So I feel like those teams had a good grip on what they were gonna get in that series, but this is completely different, dude. All right. So my official prediction is Golden State in 7.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the same thing. The Celtics are so good. Can I bring out the stats now?
Yeah.
All right. First thing I want to say, this is a little bit disconnected, but Boston will be making their 19th finals appearance this century, the most by any region in that span. Um, Note that they only have 4 teams, and for perspective, this is Boston Sports Info tweet. Perspective, New York has just 10 appearances, and that includes the Yankees, the Mets, the Jets, the Giants, the Knicks, and the Rangers. So that's pretty incredible. Title Town. And there was another tweet by Tucker Boynton, who is, I think he's like an up and coming. I don't know who he's hired by, but or who he works for. Probably Nesson, but opponent's field goal percentage while defending, and he has both like rosters pretty much. I'll start with Boston. I'm just gonna go down the line of lowest field goal percentage when defending to highest. Derek White, 36.7%. Al
That's the
Horford,
lowest.
yeah, as in like the best. Al Horford, 40.1. Rob Will, 40.8. Tice, 41.4. Tatum, 41.6. Marcus Smart with 43.2.
Dude, that's not an indication of how good he's defensively because he's always guarding the best player they have in the wing. So
Grant Williams, 44.2. Pritchard, 45.0. And Jaylen Brown, 52.9.
that is brutal. He's normally guarding. I mean, dude, the thing is,
He
like,
got
guys
torn up
get
by
switched.
Giannis in the second
Yeah.
round.
Like, guys get switched onto, players that they have an advantage over all the time, especially recently. And I don't know the defensive scheme of the Celtics, but I can bet that Jaylen Brown was probably put in a not a good position a bunch of times. Dude, he's not exactly a great defender, but that's bad. 52%.
For the Warriors, now keep in mind, there are 5 players on the Celtics roster. If you can call White a starter, White, Horford, Williams, Tice, and Tatum all have under 42% allowed. And there's only 3 Warriors that have under 42%. With the 4th lowest number on this list being a 45% from Kuminga. So I'll start. Steph, 37.5.
Is the best.
Yeah. Draymond with 38.3. Looney with 41.9. And then this is where it drops off. Kuminga, 45.2. Wiggins, 46.3. Clay, 47.2. Porter, 47.3. Bielitsa, 47.9. Poole, 49.7. And Damian Lee with a 53.7.
Damian Lee doesn't get a lot of minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of unfair to include him, but they included Pritchard in this, and he only has a 45, which is better than Kuminga.
Dude, I don't really know what to say about the Warriors side of that because they've been playing a zone pretty much the entire playoffs. Like, I mean, I don't know if they did it against the Nuggets. They might have because they didn't have they probably wanted to keep in close with Jokic in the paint with as much help as possible and then force the guys on the outside to make shots. But he definitely did it in the Grizzlies series. And they definitely did it in the Mavs series. I don't know how much you can possibly contribute to when somebody's one-on-one with somebody in a zone, but I mean, Wiggins was in the top 4, right? Or no?
46.3.
I mean, dude, I definitely thought that some of these numbers before you said any of the team's numbers were gonna be below like around 35 to 45% being the worst. Dude, I don't really know what to say. What I like about that is that Steph is number 1. That I feel like is important because most people would think that he's not a great defender. And that Looney and Draymond are 2 and 3 with good numbers, dude. I really like that. But I don't know, dude. The Warriors are 100,000% a team defense team, and I mean, the Celtics are probably the same. So
I'd say the Celtics even more so.
yeah,
The top 5 guys are better than Looney.
I
So
can't believe Derek White has the lowest on their team, dude. I would beg and hope that the Warriors go after that guy of all the guys on the team. Obviously, Pritchard is undersized, probably slower, and like he's short and he's not big. Like
the thing about the Celtics defense though is that they don't really leave anybody on an island. They're constantly switching. So
yeah, dude. I think that this series is going to boil down to the Warriors being able to take care of the ball and rebounding, just like
and
all the
play
other
well at
series
home.
have gone so far. Yeah, but I mean, the Warriors have been able to win on the road, and so the Celtics. So I feel like home court advantage might help in moments, but it won't determine the game like we have seen in certain series in the playoffs this year. I think that this is going to be a fucking phenomenal series, top to bottom. And if it's not, I'm going to be disappointed. But I think, like, obviously, I want Golden State to win, but if Boston wins, it's going to be like great. Like these guys deserve it. I'm happy that they got one because they might not get another. They might not. So if they win, great. If Golden State wins, even better. But I know that Golden State's going to be around, dude. So looking forward to next year if that's the case. But I really want to see the Warriors win.
And then I just had like 2 questions before we get into the NHL. But did you see any of the Draymond and KD Twitter beef?
Do I want to?
I think Draymond went on his podcast or something. I didn't hear the exact quotes or anything. They were talking about it on ESPN, but apparently Draymond made the statement that Steph was getting doubled, like obviously blanket statement, like random number, but he said 7 times more than KD when they were together.
That's a huge bummer.
And KD was like, that is just factually not true. And like it wasn't like insulting. It wasn't going back and forth like Twitter beefs usually are. It was very like respectful, but it was just like KD's like, that is just not true.
I think it's 100% true, dude. Like, dude, we talked about it all year how Curry wasn't playing like himself in where he kept getting doubled and then he never felt comfortable taking shots because they were putting him so out of his comfort zone. And that has been going on for years, dude. Once they figured out that he could shoot from anywhere, that has been going on for years. So I totally believe that. And
you think KD probably the
times,
most you think KD, probably the most prolific scorer in the NBA right now, was not getting double teamed?
I would double Steph before I double. Because Durant.
That's insane to me.
But dude, Durant doesn't take the shots that Curry does.
Yeah.
Why would you need to guard Durant doubled 4 feet beyond the 3-point line if he's not going to take that shot in the first place? Why would you do that? Curry was taking those shots.
I feel like you're very central on the outside of the perimeter defending. I'm thinking all over the floor, wherever KD is. If he ever has the ball, he can score from anywhere. He has a great three
But
ball. He
dude,
can
what
shoot from anywhere.
in
He
this
can score down
specific
low.
instance, if you double Durant, the ball is gonna end up in either Clay or Curry's hands wide fucking open. That's so risky. I understand Durant is probably just as good of a shooter, maybe
You could
as
say it the
Clay.
exact same way though.
Dude, I understand,
If you
but
double Curry, you can just send it to KD, the best, like probably the most scoreable player there is right
dude,
now.
this is also when Curry was coming off of a back-to-back MVPs. This is like when the world was like, if you leave him open, it's gonna go in. If you leave him a little bit open, they probably had to have a guy that was this close to Curry at all times. So you can't double, because if you double Durant, Curry's guy can't come off of him and help the shooter that's in the corner. He can't. He's glued to Curry. That's your whole game plan. So if you double Durant, you're automatically giving the other team an open guy, not only an open guy, but an open guy that's not going to get a closeout.
All right. I like your argument. It was just
That's fucking
food for thought.
no,
Um,
yeah, totally. That definitely came off as douchey, but no, I'm serious. Yeah, I agree.
And you touched on this a little bit. This is my last question. What do you think of Steph's legacy if they lose this year? You mentioned that you think they'll be back in this position or have the potential to be back in this position to next year, maybe the year after, maybe for a couple of years.
Well, dude,
But
the narrative of this season was, especially coming off of the last 2 years where they were not successful whatsoever. The narrative was that the Warriors are not going to be able to get back to the finals. So I think the fact that they've stormed through, like they haven't played a game 7 yet, and the Celtics have played 2, that's irrelevant, but they've pretty much stormed through the West and have gotten here pretty easily. So I think that in itself has aided his legacy. But especially the fact that Durant is not on the team. Like if you look at the pieces around him, a year ago, you're looking at like Andrew Wiggins, who people thought was 100% a bust and wasn't going to be able to really help a championship team or get the Timberwolves to go anywhere. Jordan Poole was a late first rounder that nobody really considered to be close to a starter or sixth man potential. Clay, who's coming off 2 years in a row of not playing a single second of basketball. Draymond, who people already considered to be washed up because he's not padding the stats and loading up triple doubles anymore. So you're looking at like these guys a year ago to where they are now. I think that, yeah, it definitely aids his legacy. If they lose, it helps, but it's not, dude. If he wins, it's gonna be like, whoa! Now we're talking about top 5 player of all time. Those conversations come into play. Best point guard of all time. That conversation. But yeah, if he loses, I think people will be like, these guys are not done. You know, these guys are going to be here again. That's really it.
I just hate the general sentiment that if you remember when we were going into like the third or fourth year straight of Cavs Warriors, it was just like Sharif was saying, like, oh, I just want somebody else in the finals. Everybody else is like, oh, the Warriors are the Death Star. Like nobody, they're in the finals every year. We want somebody else. Like they've almost been so, it's almost like the Patriots where it's like nobody really has a reason to hate them except for they're just so successful.
Yeah, dude. I remember because I was obviously a Warriors fan and a LeBron fan. So those 5 years for me were fucking awesome. Like just because every year was different. Like I think the Warriors won the first one, LeBron won the second one. Wait, what? It was. It wasn't. It was Warriors. I think it was Cavs Spurs. Yeah, I think the Spurs beat the Warriors to get to the finals. It was Cavs Spurs. The Spurs won. Because, dude, the Warrior LeBron only had one title with the Cavs, and the Warriors only have 3 titles. So how could it possibly be 5 years in a row that they played each other?
I didn't say 5.
No, but I'm thinking that it was definitely 5.
It's
But I
definitely
guess it
not
was
5.
4. All right. Well, the Cavs lose to the Spurs, then they lose to the Warriors, then they beat the Warriors, then the Warriors get Durant and beat them twice in a row, and then the Raptors beat the Warriors in the next year. So maybe that's what it was. The Cavs were there the first year without the Warriors. Then the
So it was
Warriors
only
were there
3
without the
years
Cavs.
of them
was
playing
4.
each other,
It's 4.
not of the Cavs being in the finals. You just said it was Cavs Spurs, Cavs Warriors, Cavs Warriors, Cavs Warriors, Cavs Raps. I mean Warriors Raps.
No.
You just
Spurs
said
beat the Cavs. Spurs beat the Cavs. Warriors beat the Cavs. Cavs beat the Warriors. Warriors beat the Cavs twice in a row with Durant. That's 5 years for
the Cavs being in
the
the finals.
Cavs. And then
Okay.
LeBron goes to the Lakers, and the Warriors lose to the Raptors the next year. The Warriors go back. So the Warriors had the last 5 years. The Cavs had the first 5 years out of that 6-year span. Or, 6-year span. But, all right, so those 4 years, like, were absolute heaven for me. But I remember asking people, like, dude, are you going to watch the NBA Finals this year? And people would be like, why the fuck would I watch it? Like, people would be like, it's the same exact thing that's happened the last 3 years. But it's like every single season was a totally different story, dude. Every single season. I'm pretty sure the last season that
People
LeBron
love
was
to
on the
hate, man.
Cavs, he had like 3 or 4 buzzer beaters in the playoffs that year to win games. He had 2 against the Bulls. One of them was in the corner on a jumper. One of them was that floater layup. And then he had one against, I want to say the Raptors or the Pacers. I forget which one it was. But anyway,
Dude, people love to hate, and it's so frustrating to me because we live in such a time where there's so many just great, great, great players. Like I kind of flipped this switch a couple of years ago, but dude, I hated Patty Mahomes when he first came in. I thought he was super flashy, but I was just jealous of the success. And um I've turned a page on where it's like I don't hate the greats anymore. I just appreciate it. There's no reason to
because they
hate
will be
Steph Curry
gone.
or hate LeBron. There's no reason. They're the best players and they bring the most excitement and the most eyes to the sport.
Dude, we talk about a lot how like when LeBron's out of the NBA, it's gonna be like it's everything's gonna be different type shit. I mean, granted, I only watched like probably 5 Lakers games this year, but dude, watching LeBron, what was this? His 18th season, I want to say, 2003.
How old is he?
2003. He's
2003.
he's
Yeah,
36.
19th
He's
season.
turning 37. But
Or maybe 18th. I don't know.
But dude, like how many seasons this guy has put into the league and how old he is, and like he'll have like 3 plays in a row where he's backing somebody down and totally jukes them out, but they recover and he's fading backwards with a hand in his face and he perfect switch. And then the next possession he gets a fucking alley oop where he's all the way up here and he's a fucking video game and he's this old. So it would be an absolute shame for him not to be able to get back to that like top of the league, not only like personal performance, but his team because dude, he's must watch TV when his team is unbelievable. So
He was close to winning an MVP this year or no?
yeah, dude, he led in scoring until he stopped. He didn't play the last 3 games because remember, like I was like, yo, you guys need to hammer LeBron's points because the only thing he has left to salvage of this season is to possibly win a scoring title. He had 30.1 But then I think Embiid dropped 44 and 38 in the last two, and then he took it.
Oh, I thought they were tied, but they gave it to Embiid because he played more games. But
No. Embiid finished with like 30.3 or something like that. But dude, averaging 30 points in your 18th season, that's unfucking believable. All right. So I guess that wraps it up for our NBA talk. Fire conversation above all across the board.
Golden State and 7 for both of us, I think.
I'm so nervous, dude. I'm not nervous yet. When the game, when Mike Breen's voice enters my eardrum, that's when I'll really start to get nervous. And I swear to fucking God, if I have to listen to Ian Eagle's voice at all in these finals, I'm gonna freak out. Because that guy,
That's
he
an
just sounds like a
overreaction.
no, dude. He sounds like a little kid that's standing behind the fence in the park. You know, like just announcing the game in your
Do
ear.
you
Like,
listen
dude,
to a lot
shut
of
the fuck up.
Do you listen to a lot of kids outside the fence at the
No,
park?
dude. I mean, I used to when I was a kid, but now, no, obviously.
Nice recovery.
But, dude, either Kevin Harlan, Reggie Miller, or Mike Breen, Van Gundy. Who's the other guy? I forget. Anyway, very important that we get some good announcers in the NBA Finals. But yeah, I'm not nervous. I will be when I hear that. Let's move on to the
All right, to the show. To the show we go. Last podcast, we were heading into Game 7 of the Carolina Rangers series. Rangers
Big
take the
time
dub.
space.
Rangers cover. Absolute snipe. I hit 3 bingo bango bongos.
Yes, mate!
One of them was, it had a lot to happen, but it was only like plus 410. But I think it was Kreider shot, Svechnikov shot, Aho and Fox assists. And it was awesome. There was another one where it was D'Angelo and Panarin assists. So, and then that one compared with the Rangers to cover the puck line. So all 3 of those hit. There was Carolina's first goal. Aho passes it up to the point, and D'Angelo shoots a point shot. And it looks like, to me, I always look at reactions. Like, everybody's always like, when you're watching hockey, it's like, especially if you're new to it, like my mom does this all the time. She's like, I can't follow the puck. Where's the puck? It's so frustrating to me because it's just like, just look at the sticks. You'll see the sticks move a certain way. You'll see who has possession and whatnot. You'll see where everybody is looking or where everybody's following through. Like, you don't have to see the puck to know where the puck is, honestly. It's kind of how I see it. But back to that play. It looked like Trocheck celebrated like he got a piece of it. Like, usually in front, when you have a guy screening the goalie or going for a tip, if he doesn't get a piece of it, he'll just skate straight to the D-man and be like, yeah, I'm happy for you. But when he gets a piece of it, he'll do like an individual celly, like, yeah, boys, like I got a piece of that one. Like, come to me, celly with me.
Yeah.
And that's what Trocheck did. And for the rest of the second period after the goal happened, and then like halfway through the third, I keep checking the score log, like, oh, I needed D'Angelo and Aho to get assists. And the whole time I'm like, I took a screenshot of the score, I took a screenshot of my bets, and I was prepared to wait like 3-4 days for FanDuel to correct it. I got all my evidence, I was ready to go. And then they show an update in the score. Trocheck goal, D'Angelo and Aho assists. Fired up, hit the plus.
Yes, man.
Hit the D'Angelo and Panarin assists at like plus 300. Hit the Rangers to cover at like plus 230. Absolute sniper. Rangers move on to play Tampa Bay in the Eastern Conference Final. That's tonight. But last night, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Holy moly. All right. I jumped the gun a little bit. I have some notes on the Rangers Hurricanes game 7.
Yeah, I
Besides
was
that
gonna
one.
say, dude, you just like you dropped that bomb about the game tonight, and then you're just moving on.
Now, do you have anything specifically you want to say about game 7? I have some notes.
About game 7 of the Rangers series.
Yeah.
Um that Ronta got hurt, dude. First of all, they benched Ronta, right, in game 6.
I think so.
And they had the interview that went viral where what the hell is his name? I read it on the screen. Dundegard or something. What's the coach's name?
Oh, Brindamore.
Brindamore. And they, they showed that clip a million times of him being interviewed about benching Ronta with Ronta sitting right in front of him. The most brutal shift. Like,
all right, let me cut you off real quick. Dude, ESPN especially has been horrible with these interviews. They're interviewing coaches like during their team's PK in a huge spot in a playoff game. And they're like, what do you think about this situation that happened like a period ago that has nothing to do with what's happening right now? Coach, let me take you completely out of the situation where you need to be coaching your players and eyes glued to the ice. Let me ask you some stupid shit that has nothing to do with anything. They did Chris Kreider in between periods, like, how do you feel about being like blah, 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 like Rangers highest scorer or whatever? You tied Messi. Yeah, he's like, I don't care. We need to win this game. Like, what? What are we doing here? Go ahead.
okay, well, first of all, obviously TNT and ESPN, like sign different deals than they have had in the past with the NHL in terms of, how they go about their games. Like this is the first year of TNT. I'm sure ESPN has extended coverage than they have had in the past. It's a work in progress, dude. The NBA has been doing this for years. The NFL, like they both sides understand when and what needs to be said. I think the NHL is a work in progress. That's number one. And the other thing I wanted to say was I think that they don't have a firm grasp on like I think they're searching for things to talk about, and by the time they figure it out, it's too late, like you just said. It's like that's not the situation right now. But at the same time, pulling Ronta was a big story. And but dude, so they pull Ronta in game 6 and put in the fucking rookie backup, right? He was the same guy. And then in game 7, they score 2 goals and this dude gets hurt. Like, what happened with that? They don't name injuries, right? I mean, the season's over. Who
Dude,
cares?
he was on the ground, like his torso was twisted with his legs. I'm assuming it was a back injury and it was really sensitive and he
What are you
didn't want to move.
talking about? I thought it was his groin. Did you see how he split his legs?
That might be what it is, dude. I didn't hear what the injury is, just like you.
Okay,
With
yeah.
the speculation, like you're saying it's
Yeah, I'm
probably groin
speculating.
because of the way that he went down. I'm saying it's his back because of the way he was just laying there twisted. It didn't look good. Dude, I just wanted to go back for a second when you're saying like they're still putting it together and whatnot, TNT and ESPN. Either you have no one in charge that has played the game or understands what's going on,
Yeah.
or you're not listening to the guys that are telling you that have been there. Like, I get
There's
that
no expertise going on.
I get that it's a work in progress and you just signed this deal and hockey hasn't been covered by a major sports network in a long time besides NHL Network and NBCSN. But no one in hockey would tell you it's a good idea to interview Brindamore during a PK in a playoff game.
All right. Another thing, dude, just look at who they have staffed on the screen. They have like the broadcasters that have been doing it forever, right? Like the Ray Ferraros of the world. But then they have the TNT panel is Gretzky, Biz. I don't even know the other 3
Tocchet
guys.
and Carter.
But have these guys ever been in this position before? I don't think they have, dude. It doesn't sound like it. It doesn't look like it. That's number one. Number two, those guys are the closest thing to hockey that ESPN has on the staff, probably. And those guys don't influence what production is doing in terms of mid-game interviews on the sideline. And this lady, I don't know her name. I think it's Emily Kaplan, if I remember correctly. How many times has she ever done a hockey interview? Is she the one making the calls? Is her boss the one making the calls? She's probably not making the calls. But my point is maybe she doesn't understand or they don't understand the game. And that's really what you're saying. But I think that, yeah, like I said, it's a work in progress. They will get people in there that know what they're talking about with hockey. Like, dude, think about it. ESPN hasn't really covered hockey like that ever, except for like highlights on SportsCenter. So,
well, no, back in the day, yeah, it's been a while.
But dude, the staff that they have probably isn't well versed on hockey. It's been Barry Melrose, and they call it a day. Is that his name?
Well, there's Steve Levy and Barry Melrose, yeah. It's just you could say it's a work in progress, and yeah, it'll get better over time. But dude, they had the whole season to figure this shit out. And if they're not listening to any of the hockey players that they have on staff, even Chelios and Messier, like, you should listen to them. Stop doing what you think is right. You're an idiot.
I don't think that those guys are outspoken enough, dude. Like, if you think about Inside the NBA on TNT, you got Shaq, Charles, and Kenny Smith. Ernie is probably the best panel guy in any sport, including the NFL. Like, I hate the Howie Long, Michael Strahan panel. I hate the
why?
Because those guys are all just big guys with like, and they're all just like rich white guys. As much as that sounds a little bit off, they all just like are kind of like, I know everything about everything, and you're a fucking idiot. I don't like that shit, dude. Like Charles, and I know Charles is an idiot pretty much, but Kenny, Ernie, and Shaq all speak from this like experience and this like there's a right way to do things and there's a not, but at the same time being like humble brag, like with comedy. Like I don't like any of the NFL panels. I never watch them. I don't care about them at all. I get up, I go take a shit, I grab some chips and queso, whatever the deal is. I never watch that shit.
Okay, we can agree to disagree, but I think the TNT panel for the basketball brings the humor element, but I don't think the NFL strays away from experience or anything like that. Like, I just disagree.
No, the experience I agree with. I just don't.
But you're saying like how they all think that they're the smartest and everything. Like I think they act no different experience-wise and know-it-all wise than the NBA guys do. That's just my opinion.
Okay, the other thing is I think that the NFL game has changed so much to when those guys played. Terry Bradshaw, was he playing when it was black and white, dude? I'm serious. Like, was he playing in the 70s or the 80s? It wasn't black and white television back then. But do you know what I'm saying, dude? Do you know what I'm saying? To where, like, the game when he was around is black and white, different than what it is today.
Joe, Terry Bradshaw is the Charles Barkley of that panel. He's the jokester. His takes aren't taken extremely seriously.
Dude. Well, we have to just agree to disagree on this because this really could get me riled up and pissed off.
I don't know how your fuse is that short.
It's not the fuse is that short. It's my fuse with those guys is that short. Extremely important clarification.
Rags Canes Game 7. Shesterkin weathered the storm early. Game 7s, it's a real telltale sign. If you're getting chances, it seems like you're going to take control of the lead. And not a lot of Game 7s have come down to be nail biters, especially recently in past years. It's usually like one team takes control and the game's over, even in basketball. That Bucks Celtics Game 7 was brutal for the Bucks. But Shesterkin weathered the storm. I think when Adam Fox scored, it was very early into the game. I think there was less than 4 minutes in. They were on the power play.
Yeah.
But less than 4 minutes in, the Hurricanes already had 8 shots on net to the Rangers 2. And it was at the end of that power play when Fox scored. I think there was under 10 seconds left on the power play. Rangers weather the storm early. They were playing with so much more energy.
We
They're
said that the whole
flying
game.
to the pucks. They were winning 50-50 pucks. They get 2 power play goals early in the first period, 2-0 at the end of the first, 3-0 at the end of the second. They had all the momentum.
But dude, the end of the second, I'm pretty sure the third goal was at the very, very end of the second period. Was that the Cheadle goal? Chittle? The backhander? That shit was sick.
No, Hedel scored. He scored like the 5th or 6th goal. The Canes were starting to make.
Didn't they finish with 5 goals?
It was 6-2.
The 6th one was an empty net. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I know, that's why I'm saying.
I didn't watch the end of that game.
Hedel scored the 5th goal. I'm looking at it right now.
I thought he had 2 goals.
No.
He had 2 goals in game 6.
Yeah.
All right. Well, either way, dude, that blew my mind because he like kind of danced one guy on the boards and just like casually backhand flipped it in. It was kind of a floater, but it was a fucking sniper. Top titty. Love that shot.
You're talking about the game 6 goal then.
No, I'm not.
Joe, he scored.
I talked about it with Gooey today.
Joe, it was 4-1. The Carolina had just scored, and the Rangers were on the forecheck, and the Carolina barely got it out of the zone. And then one of the Carolina guys accidentally tipped it back into the D zone, and it was just Hedel in the D zone by himself. I mean, in his O zone by himself on the breakaway, and he sniped 5-hole.
Yikes! Never mind.
So
Never mind that
game 6 goal.
Still, that game 6 goals.
Going into the third, in the second intermission, they interviewed Jordan Martinook, who's like I think he's like a 4th-year Hurricane. He's their kind of like grinder hitter, and he looked shook. Like game 7, we're down 3-0. Yikes. We had this series. We were up 3-2. I can't believe we let it go. He was like panicked. He was stuttering. And I don't really blame him. It's just you could tell that he kind of reflected how his team was feeling. And they're like, well, we got to stay out of the box. We got to do this and that and this and that. Well, it's already 3-0 and you have 20 minutes to save your season. Definitely a panicked feeling. But Rangers take it 6-2. Every time the Hurricanes scored after that, the Rangers scored immediately after. And it was out and it was away. I felt pretty good about the cover pretty much the whole game. But Kreider is tied for second most goals when facing elimination in NHL history with 15. Let me read you some names he's tied with. Screenshot from NHL Network on Twitter. Mark Messier has 16. Chris Kreider is tied with 15 with Jaromir Jagr, Gilbert Perreault, Maurice Richard, and Justin Williams. Justin Williams' nickname is Game 7. Mr. Game 7. Maurice Richard, the most goals in a season trophy is named after him, the Rocket Richard. Gilbert Perreault, he was one of the French Connection lines, one of the most dominant lines in NHL history for the Sabres. I think that was in the 90s or early 2000s. And everybody knows Jaromir Jagr, the legend, the Czech legend. Rangers move on in what everybody was saying, Canes in 5, Canes in 6. Rangers took it in 7. Rangers have come back from down 2 games in both of their series so far.
Dude, I can't believe it. Obviously, it can partially be attributed to, like, I was talking about this with Gooey today. Like, dude, they're about to play Vasilevsky tonight. Dude has like a 95% save percentage through the playoffs so far.
9-3-2.
Copy. And he's like pretty much the best goalie left in the playoffs. And the Rangers have only faced either second, third, or fourth straight goals the whole playoffs. So right there, if you're the Rangers, yeah, you should feel confident about where you are, but I think it's going to be a little bit of a shock. Dude, I mean, the puck just has to go in the net. So if the puck goes in the net, like maybe 2 or 3, 4 times in game one, if I'm the Rangers, I'm fucking buzzing. I'm thinking we have a really good chance of winning this series, especially because they beat the Lightning 3-0 in the regular season. Zibanejad had absolutely dominated that series. Had a OT winner, had a shootout winner, and had a Hattie in the other one. Unfucking believable. I'm hammering him tonight. Wow, that sounded
I already,
weird.
I already hammered that match special for him. I think it was plus 410 Rangers to win and Mika to score. Let me just touch on game one of the Western Conference Finals, the Battle of the Mix. Holy crap.
Who lives in a
14
under
goal
the sea?
game. 14 goal game. Mike Smith's goals against average in game ones this playoffs is like an 8-6.
Nah.
I'm not kidding, dude. He gave up 9 goals against the Flames in game 1. 8 goals against the Avalanche in game 1. I don't know about the first round against the Kings, but he's got a
Probably
super
wasn't
high,
anywhere close to that.
he had a super high goals against average. Game 2s, it's like a 1 something. Mike Smith, hammer the Oilers for game 2. This game was both goalies got pulled. It was dude, it was crazy. Like I was updating everybody on the game while we were on Xbox, and it was just like, oh my god, they scored again. 2 minutes later, oh my god, they scored again. Oh, the Oilers scored. Oh, the Oilers. Oh my god. It was just back and forth. Goals. Cale Makar. I believe Colorado was heading into the end of the first up 2-1. 22 seconds left. I think the Oilers are on a power play. McDavid sends one across the slot. He's playing the half wall, sends it across the slot. Hyman just tucks her in. Good night, Jim Kite.
Yes, man.
Ties it up 2-2, and it's like, oh my god. Well, they're going to go into the end of the period tied. They're probably feeling really good. I'm feeling really good about the Oilers. Cale Makar makes a steal in the neutral zone. Nichushkin is going back to get back on sides. This was insanely controversial, even though it's been explained 87 times.
Yes,
there are still people on Twitter freaking out. This is not the rule. Oh, I used to play in the NHL. This is not the rule. Blah, 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 blah. The refs, I'm one of those people now where I don't love the refs, and sometimes they control the game, but if the refs say it and they follow the rule book and whatnot, whatever. They're right. I'm not going to try to change things and say, like, this is how it should be, blah, blah, blah. Cale Makar pushes the puck up ice after the steal. He is not physically pushing the puck. He tipped it up. A little push up. Nichushkin is coming back on sides. There's a screenshot of Cale Makar. It looks like he's possessing the puck in the O-zone. His skates are still in the neutral zone. And Nichushkin is about like 2 feet offsides. Makar waited until it looked like he didn't really even see him, honestly, but he didn't touch the puck on sides in the O-zone until Nichushkin was on sides. Crazy. And Makar snipes like immediately after that.
I hate when there's like these bang bang plays with the refs, and like the actual fact of the matter is that Makar fucking sniped, dude. Like pushing up heavy on the right side. He's a righty stick, right? And he snipes near side top hitting. Dude, that was a fucking ripper. And the boys were buzzing after that.
Yeah, it's actually super annoying when it's like the puck went into the net. If you didn't see the offsides and you didn't call it at that point, it shouldn't be reviewable. I hate that.
Dude, also like really good comparison to that, like the refs slowing it down, like and kind of killing like the hype was Wiggins' dunk. they called an offensive foul when he posterized Luka. Draymond talked about it on his podcast. He's like, dude, I would rather them not review it and it just be an offensive foul than like having it be reviewed and then not calling an offensive foul, because the entire moment of us getting hyped over that dunk dissipated into the air, and now it's like, oh, great job, dude.
Yeah.
Nice job. It's like, fuck. There's definitely a drawback of having replay. I think that affects all sports at this point.
I mean, passion and the moment is a big part of sports, and when that moment is killed by a replay, it's a shame. Luka got fucking postered. So Avalanche go up 7-3 with 3:40 left in the second. McDavid gets one more 31 seconds later, and it's 7-4 going into the third. The Oilers stormed back. Boys.
First of all, second intermission, we all hammered the Oils money line.
Plus 2,500. It was so close, dude. So it's 7-4 going into the third. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins makes it 7-6 on the power play with 12:36 into the third. And then they just couldn't get another one. There was 7 minutes left, something like that. We were watching it. I was like, hold on, don't cash out. We're chilling. They have a lot of time to score, and it just never happened. Gabe Landeskog made it 8-6 with 22 seconds left with an empty netter. What a game. And I am supremely confident in the Oilers after that. Holy crap. Especially running. No, I think Kemper got hurt. That is massive. That's what the Oilers can do. I wanted to podcast yesterday, and we had like some crazy circumstances where like we thought we were going to podcast, and then some stuff happened, and then we didn't end up getting to podcast, which is all gravy. But I was going to say my prediction is Edmonton in 7. I'm sticking with Edmonton in 7. I didn't even need to preface any of that because they ended up losing anyway. But dude, they Kemper got hurt, which is a shame, but it gives them a real good chance. Mm-hmm. They completely took Markstrom out of the last series. The Oilers' offense is actually a nightmare to NHL goalies. It is terrifying. Every shot on net has a chance of going in. Every single one. And Colorado brought their firepower for this game. They could score with the best of them. These are the two only teams in the playoffs that have over 4 goals for per game in the playoffs. 4 goals per game. See, I had all these notes, and I've kind of just been ranting, talking about. So I just went over game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. 8-6. Colorado is in the lead, 1-0. I have Edmonton in 7. Let me preview the Rangers in Tampa Bay, and then I'll get back to Edmonton and Colorado series. Or do you think
Why would we go back? What more do you want to talk about? Like, I think the Oilers are going to take it.
A lot of my notes have to do with like before the game started, but I'll just jump right into it. This is the biggest money-making, attention-grabbing, highest anticipated matchup there could ever be. The two young studs, the mix, 29 and 97. It's like Gretzky and Lemieux all over again.
You're gonna get emotional.
The boys are buzzing. Two highest scores in the two highest scoring teams in the playoffs when you're talking about goals for per game. McKinnon is very interesting to me. He might have 100 points in this series. I wrote that down. I figured I might say it. It's a joke, but an interesting point about the NHL versus other sports is I feel like other sports, there is more of a emphasis on your legacy having to do with your individual hardware, where for the NHL, you can have as many Harts and Vesnas, Selkies, Norrises, Art Rosses, Rocket Richards, but if you don't have that cup, completely takes it away. And kids growing up, dreaming about playing in the NHL, I feel like they don't give a fuck about the MVP or the scoring titles or any of that. They want to take that stroll with the cup, skate around their home ice. That's what they want to do. And just like other sports, I feel like that's the case. But the NHL, it is such a team effort, such a man's man sport, blood,
I have
sweat,
a-
and tears, all on the line, insanely team oriented. And McKinnon doesn't have that cup. McKinnon's been in the league for a good amount of time now. He got drafted in 2013, first overall. His name gets thrown in with the best players. He works out with Crosby. It's his best friend. They grew up in the same area. They grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. They work out in the summer. He's among the high.
Wait. Isn't Halifax where Goon plays?
Yeah, the Halifax Highlanders. He's among the highest point getters year after year. He's never broken 100 points, but he's gotten 90, I think, 3 times. He's failed in the playoffs time and time again. He's earned a reputation of losing in the second round the past couple of years. Finally got to that Western Conference Finals. Dude, McKinnon getting that cup is probably the most intriguing storyline. Because
how is McDavid getting it not more to you?
Because he hasn't gone through the failure yet of losing in the playoffs. McDavid hasn't even made the playoffs the majority of his career.
Isn't that enough of a story? It's a different story, but it's
more of like deserving. McKinnon's been there. He's been through the failure. He's been through the series, is losing when they were the favorited team. They get beaten. The pain. I think McKinnon's probably been through more pain than McDavid. And I think going forward, if McDavid, I can't see McDavid staying with the Oilers his whole career. That's a conversation for another day. I could see McKinnon staying with the Avalanche his whole career. I think McDavid has many more opportunities, I think, down the line to win a cup. But that's a conversation for another day. This is anyone's series. If Colorado can out physical the Oilers, I don't think anyone's stopping them. But if they fall into the track meet style that the Oilers play, the Oilers will win the rest of the series, just like they did against Calgary. This is a fun little tidbit. 2009 Avalanche draft. In the first round, they drafted Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene was one of the top players. I think he wears an A for the Preds. Bye-bye Preds in the first round. Second round pick for the Avalanche, Ryan O'Reilly. They beat him in St. Louis last round.
Wow.
Third round pick, Tyson Barrie. They're playing him in Edmonton right now.
Wow.
So they're going through their own draft picks, some of the best players in the league. Honestly, Ryan O'Reilly is a top 10 center in the league in my mind. You have anything else to say about the Western Conference Finals? Because I prepare all these notes and I think that they're all golden, and then I go through them and it's just like, I thought this McKinnon thing was going to have way more impact and like actually mean something, but it kind of just sounded like jibber jabber.
I mean, dude, when I prepare my notes, I try to just lead off with all of them. With the whole conversation that we have with the NBA, I just led off with everything that I wrote down. And then we kind of just landed in random conversations. But dude, who cares? With the Oilers series, for me, Kemper getting hurt is the biggest factor by far. Nothing is close. I don't know who the Avs backup is and how seasoned he is, but we know that both these teams are going to score. If the Oilers can prevent, like, we know the Oilers are going to score now, right? That can be like safely pretty much assumed. I mean, the Avs defense outside of the net, I don't know how good they're, probably middle of the pack, maybe top 10. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Both of their defenses are not defensive defense. They play very offensive, both defenses.
And it seems like very high paced. So,
Yeah.
I think that this series in the beginning, all things considered, was probably 65-35 in favor of the Avs. Now it's probably 55-45. The Avs should still be favored 100,000%.
Yeah. Oh,
But
absolutely.
the Oilers, especially in game 2, I think that they, scoring 6 goals against the Avs in game 1 on the road has to make them feel good about themselves. And the pain from losing that game and that comeback effort, they're going to come back firing in game 2. I think the Oilers take game 2.
Dude, especially when you look back to game 1 in the second round against Calgary, they tied it up 6-6, and then Calgary pulled away. But there's that sense of, yeah, we were just down 7-3, and we almost came all the way back. You did it twice. You've almost come all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
This team has no quit. Pavel Francouz or Francouz, I don't really know how to pronounce it. He's the backup for Kemper. He's had to play in the past couple years. Like last year, I think they got beaten by Vegas, and he was a big reason why. He just couldn't make the saves that they needed.
Wow.
The Avs might need, like, they made a big deal to pick up Darcy Kemper this year. They might need to make like a huge trade to pick up like a top tier goaltender next year. If they lose this year. I kind of want to get into the ECF. I don't have as many notes, but
I mean, dude, I pretty much said what I had to say. I'm gonna lead off this one, or do you want to? You lead with your notes. No, we just talked about this. You lead off with your notes.
The Rangers are hosting. I was surprised about that, but they swept the season series, and I think they had more regulation wins. Braden Point's going to be out. I think he's out for game 1. He was skating pregame a couple hours ago. That's what Emily Kaplan reported from ESPN. Shesterkin versus Vasilevsky, the two best goalies in the NHL, probably the world.
Mm-hmm.
One is sporting a .932 save percentage with a .222 goals against average.
That's Vasilevsky.
Shesterkin not far behind, .928 with a .268.
Dude, the Rangers have been scored on probably more than the Lightning this postseason. But Shesterkin is probably averaging like 35 saves a game, dude. And he also had that game that he had I know it was triple overtime. Totally forgot about that game. But 70 saves in one game? Is that right?
I thought he got pulled in that game.
Why would you pull him?
I thought they got behind early and the Rangers had to come back. But
Shesterkin set a record that game, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Dude, two best goalies in the world. It's gonna be, you're gonna see some pretty crazy saves. I took the Lightning and the under as one of my props. It was like a plus 550 or something like that. On the money line total goals parlay that they have available on FanDuel. And Zibanejad and Fox are third and fourth behind McDavid and Draisaitl in points in the playoffs right now. That was insanely surprising to me. Mm-hmm. Zibanejad has 19 points and Fox has 18. As a defenseman, everybody's freaking out about Makar. Makar had 13 points going into the WCF. I don't know. I don't know how many points he had last night. I could quickly check, but definitely doesn't have 18.
I think he had a
Adam
goal and
Fox.
2 apples.
Well, it's 16, I guess. I think I just need to get into my prediction. My notes are done. Tampa in 7. Let's go, Bolts. 3 fucking Pete.
I got the Rags. I got the Rags at 7, boys. Let's fucking go. I love Zibanejad. Dude, he's scoring 2 tonight. He's scoring 2. He's scoring 2. He's scoring 2. Zibanejad scoring 2 and an apple. Yes, boys. Chris Kreider and Zibanejad are an absolute tag team. You get a 2-on-1, the puck's in the net. Let's fucking go. I don't care who's in there. That's a goal. Foxy's playing his ass
Yeah, we'll
off.
see.
Dude, all I'm saying is I think that this Rangers team feels like some type of like underdog. Even though they are the higher seed, which is unreal to me. I think that we just ballooned the Lightning in our brains because of the three-peat potential. But dude, this team wasn't crazy good in the regular season. And I understand they have this thing going where it's like, we know we're this good and we're just going to wait till the playoffs to start playing well. But like, now we're playing really, really well. But dude, I think the Rangers have a little bit of a chip on the shoulder. And Igor's playing Fire Flames. Dude is playing his ass off. Yes. Also, Panarin. Throw that name out.
Who hasn't shown up at all these playoffs, but
All right, well, it's a little
winner.
hotter in Tampa, so maybe he figures it out, hanging out with some Gators.
Okay.
Yikes!
Vasilevsky in elimination games. We went over it in a previous podcast. He has a 0.14 goals against average in the past 7 elimination games.
It's game 1, Jimmy John.
Yeah, I'm talking about the series. When it comes down to it, Lightning can't be beat. So it may seem like I'm going with the easy pick here, but talk about top tier clubs going at it on the biggest stage. I mixed up my notes a lot because I was going back and forth between Colorado and Edmonton. I think Colorado and Tampa Bay would be the 2 best teams, like team aspect. They're the 2 best built, 2 deepest. Western Conference, you're just not going to get a great goalie between those 2 teams, and Eastern Conference has 2 of the best goalies. But I think Tampa wins the cup again this year. Just the way that they're built, it's unbelievable.
I got
They're
the
so
Rags
good.
winning. I got the Rags winning the title.
You have the Rags beating all 3 of these teams potentially.
Okay, so the Oilers and Avs series is going to be a fucking shootout because of those styles of play and because the lack of goaltending. What happens when they run into Eagle? What happens? Dude, if the Rangers get past the Lightning, which is very possible, very, very possible, why can't they beat the Avs or the Oils? Especially if the Oils beat the Avs in this series, which is now looking phenomenal considering Darcy Kemper out. Boom roasted. I feel like that was a great point. I'm just going to use my hand to make sure that you know. Let's go.
Well, my comeback point is the 2nd best goalie this season behind Shesterkin was Jacob Markstrom, and look what McDavid did to him.
I don't think that McDavid did that to him. I think he did it to himself, dude.
Okay. Well, you are also, when you get on one side of an argument, you can't change your mind. So
Hell yeah. Giants are winning the pennant.
There's no point in arguing.
Giants are winning the NFC East.
That is a 0%er. I just hope that there's no 4 or 5 game series. That would really be a bummer. For any of basketball or hockey, it would be an absolute shame if any of these series were decided in 4 or 5 games.
Agreed.
It's kind of an obvious statement, but at the same time, I don't think any of these games, these series is the only one that I could see being quick is the Lightning and the Rangers, just because I think the Rangers are like, I would say it's probably like Tampa, Colorado, Edmonton, and then the Rangers are like down
Yikes!
here.
We'll take it. We'll take it. You don't believe in us? We're going to fucking ride that ship all the way to the cup. Let's go, boys.
But I'm still gonna say Tampa in 7. Because I'm gonna give the Rangers their flowers a little bit.
We don't want your fucking flowers, bro.
All right. Well, after this season, I'm gonna let you have the rest of the playoffs and everything. After this season, you are going to submit a letter to me, and you are either going to say that you are going to be a Rangers fan or you're going to be a Bruins fan. And there will be no more of this, or it will be like this for the rest of time. If you decide to keep going with the Rangers, I don't want to hear it about Boston. All right? All right.
That's bullshit, dude.
Why? I don't give a fuck about the Rangers, dude.
Dude, you think if the Bruins were in the playoffs, I would give a fuck about the Rangers?
Yeah. Because of Gooey and because of it being the hometown team and MSG.
You don't know my motives, man.
I know you pretty well.
Dude, the Rangers have the same colors as the Giants. Maybe that's what it is. Ever think about that?
Please don't chalk it up to team colors, dude.
Dude, let's go, Rags. We're taking it all the way to the cup. The Giants are winning the NFC East. The boys are fucking buzzing. And the Yankees are going to win. Yes, Buzz! New York's having a big year. You could shove that Boston stat right up your fucking asshole. Let's go. All right,
I can personally guarantee that none of those 3 things are going to happen, and none of those 3 teams are going to make the final in their sports.
All right, we'll see.
0% chance.
All right.
The Yankees,
how about let's
classic
make a bet.
chokers. Giants, just not a good team at all. And the Rangers
what's your problem
are facing
with the fucking Giants?
And the Rangers are facing the best team in the NHL over the past 3 years. Arguably the past 7 years.
Yeah, that best team is on the road in game 1. So there's that.
There's some people that care about the regular season standings and some people that don't.
Yeah, some people play hard every time they hit the ice and some people don't. Yeah.
Some people show up when it matters most.
Yeah.
Like Andre Vasilevsky.
And Igor Shesterkin.
Pretty shaky over those first couple.
They're in the same exact situation, dude.
Pretty shaky after those first couple Penguins games. Also, dude, the Lightning allowed 3 goals in the entire series to the highest octane offense, the most winningest team in the league this year.
I'm not impressed. That
3 team is a bunch goals of fucking babies. 4 games.
That team is a bunch of fucking babies.
Oh, I don't want to hear that shit. A baby, Alexander Barkov.
Yeah, they're both babies. Babies.
Gustav Forsling.
Huh? Baby.
Mackenzie Weegar.
Baby.
Aaron Ekblad.
Baby.
Anthony Duclair.
Baby.
Sergei Bobrovsky.
Baby.
Wait. Give me a second. Sam Reinhart.
Baby.
Sam Bennett.
Baby.
Radko Gudas.
Baby.
All right.
Dude, at the end of the day, collectively, these guys averaged 0.75 points per game collectively. If you went individually, there was only potentially 9 guys on their whole roster that even had 1 point the entire series. Baby. Fucking pussies, bro. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle the big moment. The Rags play in MSG. They're used to that.
Yeah, but
In
we're not
fucking
talking about the
December, those Blizzard fire.
Panthers versus the Rangers. We're talking
Yes,
about
we
the
are.
team. We're talking about the team that annihilated the Panthers playing against the Rangers.
And now that team that annihilated the best team in the NHL has to play at MSG tonight. We'll see how it goes.
I'm
We'll see how it
personally
goes.
guaranteeing a Lightning cover.
No. I got the Rangers to cover. Let's go. Let's go.
It's just not gonna happen, dude. And dude, I wanted to give the Rangers credit for this run that they've been on, but they've faced a starting goaltender 1 game this whole run.
Bro, they're all in the NHL.
Boo, that's a horrible take.
No,
Louis
it's not.
Domingue.
He's in the NHL. I'm not in the NHL.
He wasn't in the NHL this year. He was not. And same thing with Kochetkov, dude.
It's kind of funny.
You're like, oh, McDavid, it's gonna be a shock going against Shesterkin in the final. Dude, it's gonna be a shock for any of the Rangers to not be shooting at a fucking cone in net.
Dude, just understand this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got nothing to say.
I don't have to say anything. No, I don't have to say anything. The boys will speak for me and they'll speak for themselves.
They don't even know who you are.
Wow. Here we go.
See how I just under Joe's skin. This is where I live. This is Joe's skin right here. I'm underneath it. I live right here. It's got my pillow and my blanket. This is where I live right here. Under Joe's skin.
That is disgusting.
It's like the Magic School Bus. Shrink down real small.
Dude, the Magic School Bus isn't small. What? Should I take the
Clearly.
Rags minus 2.5? What's so funny?
I don't know why you're asking me.
All right. I got the Rangers spread, and I got Zabana Jad to score, and the Rags to win, boys. Yes, boys.
I have the Lightning to cover puck line and for Corey Perry to score and the Lightning to win at plus 470. Here we go, Paris.
Guy got doinked by a doinker. Did you see that?
He looks like Doyle too. Did you tell Doyle about the Sync Boys podcast?
Yeah, I told him that we talk about things that he probably shouldn't listen to.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I told him about it. He's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do this. I do this. I rip some blocks, and then I just chill."
Wait, what? Why shouldn't he listen to it? Because there's gambling? Oh, I didn't know he was into that.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been the Sick Boys podcast. Go Rags. Go Warriors. Go Oils.
Go Bolts. Go Oils. Go Dubs.
Yes, boys. Yes, boys. Nah. Rags. 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 Dum da da.
All right, this is the Sync Boys signing off. Follow us on Instagram.
That's Sync Boys.
CINQ boys. Spelled the same way for our YouTube and our Spotify.
Oh, bitch! Yikes!
Don't
Almost
follow
voice
our
crack.
individual accounts. We're gonna try to tone down the cursing a little bit.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Closest defender versus Jason Tatum. Kuminga. Tatum is 0 for 5 against him. Wiggins 1 for 7 against Wiggins.
What, this year?
Yeah.
Oh wow, stats that don't
Yep.
matter.
Yep. I hate that you said that so much. Whatever, dude.
Oh, last thing. This is what I was gonna say.
Ah!
People were talking about how, or no, Amari was talking about on First Take how Draymond's gonna try to cover Tatum. Put Wiggins on Tatum. What are you doing?
Well, Jaylen Brown is just as much as a scoring threat, in my opinion. I
So
think
put
Tatum gets
Clay
more-
on Brown.
Dude, Clay lost his step on defense. I'm sorry. Lock those two down. Put Clay on Marcus Smart. Let Steph deal with Derek White or somebody like that.
Okay, well, it's gonna be Looney, Rob Will, and Draymond Horford.
Okay.
So
I don't know. Dude, I gotta go. I gotta go.
the Celtics
Dude, I have to
mismatched the
go.
Warriors.
No. We're gonna be fine, dude. We're gonna figure it out. The boys are gonna be
The
fine.
matchups don't make sense.
Dude, please. I have to go.
You have to go what?
To the bathroom. Can we end this?
The BR.
The
El
BR.
Baño.
Yes, guys.
Yes,
The
guys.
outhouse.
Yes, babe.
Yes, guys. Take place.